So let me apologize for the technical difficulties, but I want to talk about briefly the brilliant presentation that Ta-Nehisi Coates gave to this the House Subcommittee on XYZ on Wednesday. So there's a lot of great lessons for marketers and copywriters and anyone who wants to be more persuasive in their lives and their businesses. And there's one thing that he did. I won't say that he did it wrong, but it's one flaw that we need to watch out for. And so let's talk about. First, I want to talk about the things that he did right. And if you didn't see it, I wish I had some kind of technical skills to cut in some video here, but you can find it if you just look up Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's all over the place because the message was powerful. But he did a lot of things very well. Number one, I would say he's an expert on this topic of slavery reparations, and I don't want this to be a racially charged conversation here, or a political one, really, but just about persuasion and about communication. But he's talking about an emotionally charged topic, which automatically puts you in a place where you can be persuasive, you can get attention, and you can really engage with people. And the people who are on your side are going to engage with you well. They're going to vibe with you strongly, and then the people who are not on your side are going to vibe against you in a strong way. But choosing a topic that's emotionally charged in and of itself is a powerful way to speak. On top of that, he used some emotional appeals and emotional words, pointing out blindings and, I see I wrote notes. Let me see what I did. I didn't capture that. But if you listen to him talk, you'll see it at some points he's making appeals directly to emotion, people who have been, well, black people who have been disenfranchised and people who have been taken advantage of, and slaves being, he talked about child trafficking and rape, and he talked about, taking advantage of people. And those are emotional topics. They're emotional words. And so this is the second thing. You talk about something emotional, but you also talk about, you bring the emotion into it on purpose. So you can talk about something that's not particularly emotional. The topic's not particularly emotional, but if you interweave the emotion of what it means to the people who are involved or could be involved or who are left out, you're doing something powerful. You're doing something effective to persuade people. Because as we always hear, we buy or we make decisions based on our emotions, not on our. So you have to appeal to the emotions. Now, like I said, I've seen people talk about Microsoft Excel and try to make that emotional. So for the right people, that probably works. Again, for the wrong people like me, I'd say what's interesting about Excel. But that is something that you should do, and something that Ta-Nehisi did very well. He also used word pictures and metaphors in a powerful way. Now, metaphors, they speak to your mind, the human mind, in a special way. And when we use them, you can connect two ideas in a way that it just is very persuasive, and it paints a picture that it's hard to forget. It can be if you do it right. So, for example, one that was powerful that Ta-Nehisi used, he said emancipation dead bolted the door against America's bandits, or the bandits of America, something like that. And so you see a deadbolt on a door, locking the door, and bandits. There's somebody coming to steal and defraud people. So that's good. And he said, but Jim Crow wedged the window open. So it's another word picture and metaphor that the two play off each other. You see, emancipation was a boom, it's a locking of the door, but it didn't effectively change what he's arguing against. So the word picture allows you to see that in a way that if you just say, Jim Crow, extended the ramifications of slavery beyond the time period of emancipation or what have you. That's a little bit less sticky, a little bit less persuasive. And but the thing is, Ta-Nehisi, Mr. Coates, also uses the intellectual and the bigger words and the more abstract concepts. Also, because he's a very smart guy, intellectual guy, and he kind of comes from that world. But I think the way that he used it was very smart. He brought in specific examples as proof of his point. He brought in specific examples as illustrations of the point he wanted to make. That Mitch McConnell's comments about nobody alive today is responsible for slavery. 'Tis true, but he's telling half of the story, right? Everyone today is affected by 250 years of slavery and the after effects of that. So, that's what Ta-Nehisi's argument is. He wasn't even saying you need to pay reparations, but he was saying we need to talk about this and study this, which is the whole point of Bill H.R. 40, as I understand it. So, but he brought in these specific examples of, we say Thomas Jefferson matters. Yes, Sally Hemings also matters. See, you got a specific example. And so that's another great thing to not just make an argument or a statement, but to back it up with specific examples and proof. Now, I want to say this also. It's very clear what Ta-Nehisi Coates is trying to say. His position is clear. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs and marketers, we want to straddle the fence and not really take one position or another. And that hurts the persuasiveness of your argument. Make a choice, stand for it, and go deep on that point, and you'll be much more persuasive than a wishy-washy person. Or making a wishy-washy argument that you say, it could be this, it could be that. You're not persuading anybody. You're just covering your bases and staying safe. And that's not persuasive. Okay, what do I got else here? That's pretty much it for the good things. He was eloquent, clearly articulated points, and well delivered without being nasty. You have an enemy, but not a personal enemy. He wasn't saying, Mitch McConnell, you're my enemy, but he was just saying, we have a situation that has to be addressed or ought to be addressed, and talk about the negative parts about it, but without getting nasty, without being offensive, or at least not. He wasn't intending to be offensive. So that being said, here's the fatal flaw, and this is what you need to know when it comes to your business, when it comes to your life. I don't know who's on this subcommittee in the House of Representatives, but one thing I can say is the audience is not one probably inclined to hear or to accept Ta-Nehisi's message. He's basically talking to the right people, right? But he's not talking to people who are, in the position to receive what he's saying. But let me be more clear about what I'm saying. You need to make sure you're talking to the right people with your message. And people are not convinced ever. Like 99.9% of the time, it doesn't happen this way. People aren't convinced by a logical argument about something that they don't believe. Even if you show them proof or evidence, they sometimes feel more strongly about their entrenched positions. It's called the backfire effect. I will not hear what you have to say. I'm going to even feel even more strongly about what I believe already. So you have to talk to people who are kind of either at least halfway convinced of what you're trying to say anyway. So in this respect, there are going to be people who have heard these prepared remarks by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and they're very anti-reparations. They're not going to be convinced, no matter how eloquent and how articulate and how right the argument from Ta-Nehisi Coates is, because they don't want to hear it. 99.9% of people won't be moved at all in a positive way towards his argument. Rather, they'll probably use it for argument against the point he was trying to make. And on the other hand, the people who are predisposed to agree with that, they're already feeling that way. He's just kind of speaking on their behalf, putting words that they wish they could say into a space where they wish they could say it. So he's a powerful advocate, and that's a great thing. And so for those people, he's not convincing them. They're already convinced. He's just speaking for them. They're on his side. We're rallying behind him, and we really feel like he's championing our cause, and that's great. So he's persuading people who are already persuaded, and that's good. He's also giving ammunition to the people who want to have a better argument, a more clear articulation of the point. And so that's good. So I'm not saying he was not aware of this fact. I'm sure he's 100% aware that he's probably not winning the argument here. He's just bringing the argument because what else can you do? You have to make the argument. But the people on the committee are predisposed against. They don't want to pass a bill. I assume, I don't know them. They don't want to pass a bill that's going to cost them money. They don't want to pass legislation that's going to make their constituents mad at them. And some people will be. There's a divided, or it's a topic that divides many of us. And so he's talking to people who are not not inclined to agree with him, not inclined to act on what he's saying. And that's the flaw. When we're communicating, when we're selling, we have to sell to people who want what we have. Sell to people who believe what we're talking about, at least halfway. I halfway suspect that what we're saying is right. They've always kind of suspected that what we're saying is the case. And now that you're coming out and proving it, that's how you push them over the edge. So that's my encouragement to you. First of all, listen to Ta-Nehisi Coates. His argument is fantastic. And you can probably learn something from the way that he uses words. I'm actually a little jealous because they're very well put together. And his thinking is very clear. So I mean, there's some study material there. You can just check out how he uses the language, and you'll learn from it. But also, again, consider the points that we've made. Talk about something emotional. You talk about, I use emotional words and emotional arguments in what you're saying. No matter if you're talking about Excel, you're talking about the definition of, a word, in a debate, or you're talking about selling something. I mean, you need to have emotion in there. Use word pictures and metaphors that helps communicate directly with the mind in a way that's persuasive. And be clear about what your position is. Take a hard stand on something and stand for it. And you'll find that strengthens your argument. And that's it. So thanks for hanging out. And I look forward to continuing to talk about this sort of stuff with you.